The articles we analysed are concerning the clear backpacks that students of Marjory Stoneman Douglas High School have been issued with since coming back from the shooting that occurred in February that killed 17 people. This shooting has brought back to the forefront the issue of gun violence in America and how it's directly tied to how easy it is to get a gun, even to the clearly mentally unstable. The backpacks is that it'll make it hard for students to sneak guns into school. However, the shooter was not a student at the time, and the students are saying that it is an invasion of privacy and it's making school feel like a prison, especially for girls who have to carry the menstrual products. And now, because of clear backpacks, they cannot do this with privacy.
The two media outlets we are looking at today are News Limited and The Hill. News Limited was founded in 1923. This article is from News Digital Media, news.com.au, which was founded in 2006, based in Australia. It is owned by Rupert Murdoch. It has a global reach, but is largely targeted at Australians. It has a conservative or right-wing bias. The Hill is an American political newspaper and website named after Capitol Hill. Founded in 1994, its focus is on politics. Based in Washington, D.C., USA, owned by Jimmy Finkelstein, son of the founder, its target audience is politically savvy Americans. The owner is a Democrat supporter, and it has a slight liberal or left-wing bias.
.au is an Australian outlet and just like a general news outlet. It talks more about like the background information leading up to the backpacks, like the shooting. I guess because it assumes that Australians, because it didn't happen near us, we wouldn't know as much about it as like Americans, because it doesn't affect us that much. And also the Hill is like a really like political type of platform, so I guess it just assumes that anyone reading the platform that political would already know about the shooting, so I just kind of like get straight to the point, and it talks about it more from a political standpoint. Whereas news.com.au, while there are political elements, it's really more about like human interest and what people are interested in, whereas The Hill has like a more like political target audience.
Both articles are about students' reactions to the clear backpacks they are forced to use for school. The school is Marjory Stoneman Douglas High School, located in Florida. This is a reaction to the recent shooting there, and the backpacks are provided to the students free of charge.
Lead of the news.com.au article, it talks about students returning to school after the shooting and then goes into the backpacks, whereas in the Hill article it goes straight into talking about the backpacks, while also quoting a student who survived the shooting and specifically naming her, and like the quote is concerning her views on the backpacks. So that again shows that like the news.com.au is more like has more like background to it, whereas like The Hill is very much so get to the point and like don't like give all this recap, just get to the point.
These stories are both online, so they can make use of links to Twitter, video, and other articles. The news.com.au story has a video link, but it is to a related story, basically the student's perspective of the actual shooting, not a reaction to the backpacks.
Main news values in news.com.au is impact, because it emphasises that it killed 17 people, the shooting, and also it relies a lot on the social media posts of the students, so you can see how the clear backpacks specifically have affected them and how they feel about it, so that's like a strong element of impact. And then there's proximity, although it's not geographical proximity, there's social proximity and cultural proximity, because obviously parents reading this article will be able to relate with like wanting their children to feel safe at school, and the kids will be able to relate with not wanting their privacy invaded and wanting to feel safe at school. And then there's conflict, which is quite obvious. It's the conflict between the students and the parents and the faculty against, more so the students against the NRA and the lawmakers. And then there's the human interest, which is basically all the background information that this article has that The Hill doesn't have, just the background information about the shooter and the shooting. The Hill also has a news value of impact as it relies heavily on a quote from a student who survived the shooting saying the school feels like a prison, and it relies on like her like Twitter posts, so that's like impact, showing how it's impacted her and the backpacks have impacted her. And there's also proximity, like there's also the social and cultural proximity that we mentioned with news.com.au, obviously because the whole parents not wanting their kids to feel unsafe and kids not wanting to feel unsafe. But there's also the geographical proximity that's not present in news.com.au because it's an American outlet, so like the Americans gonna be like, oh, this basically happened in our backyard, it's happened in our country, and because it's like bringing up gun violence, any decisions made will directly impact Americans in a way that won't impact like people from other countries. And again, there's conflict with like the students of the Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School and the lawmakers.
Aside from the bias of the major shareholders or owners of each media outlet, as discussed in the summary, both have a significant amount of advertising. This would play a key role on what is covered and how by each publication. As these media outlets are free to access online, their entire revenue comes from the advertising alongside, during, and following the articles. Another factor on the influence is where the articles can be found on the home website of each publication. The Hills article is part of the blog briefing room and hence has more of a media release feel to it. The news.com.au article is located under lifestyle, parenting and school life. So it focuses more on human interest, having the students prominent with lots of background, but no gory details. Both articles have long opening sentences, well over 25 words. News.com.au's article has a more conversational tone. It also goes into greater detail and uses lots of repetition in the form of quotes and also embedded tweets. It quotes quite a lot of other media outlets, giving it a more gossipy feel. He said this, she said that. You know. The Hills report is written in a succinct form, but also uses repetition. In this instance, a student's tweet aimed at the NRA. The Hills report is written without referring or quoting other media outlets, giving it a more authoritative feel.
Both articles are effective in different ways. The news.com.au article is more like effective in terms of it has more information, so someone wanting to get informed would find that more effective. However, someone just looking to read a nice concise news article on the bus, like, or on their phone, will like think the Hill's more effective because it's a lot more concise, a lot more get to the point. And while there's a news.com.au article, it gets more of a chore to read.
The Hill uses the student's anti-NRA tweet as its headline, while news.com.au uses a much longer title, which also has quite a long subheading. The Hill is portrayed as a more concise, almost update style of report, assuming its audience is knowledgeable about the preceding events. It just lets you know the latest development. News.com.au, on the other hand, doesn't make many assumptions about its readers and provides a lot of the backstory. It also goes into much more detail, with names of students, the police officer who fell asleep in the car, parents of the students, the politician that accepted payments from the NRA, and even the name of the shooter.
Something that is noteworthy in both the articles is that there are potential ethical issues raised because, other than interviews, both the articles have relied on social media posts, and like this could bring into question, did they have permission to like use these posts? But also there's the fact that like a lot of the students are verified activists and they will have their Twitter page publicly available. So people could argue that there was no ethical issue because they were just using like public property basically. But like because none of these articles use them in a defamatory way. However, there could be articles that would use them in a defamatory way, so that would raise the ethical issues.